What's up, guys? Out here today, I got a Topcon Hyper-V set up. I was going to show you how to configure the radios for the base and rover on a digital to UHF system. So I've got my base set up over here on a pole. Rover's out back here, hanging out in the truck, trying to get out sunlight a little bit for you. So if we got Pocket 3D here we're using. We got our project open. GPS base station, that's our known point. We've already got the job all set up. Next, antenna types, Hyper-VR. I always run in a 0 antenna height. I know some people will pull, if they use a setup tripod or something like that, they'll worry about that. But I just always run 0 as an antenna height because I don't care about the point on the ground. So in here for Hyper-VR, we're gonna have R2 light UHF as our radio type. I like now how they gray this port out, so it's modem port A. Run like a Hyper-V, it'll be serial port C. Your baud's grayed out, so you don't change that. We're running RTCM. Hit configure. It's going to ask me to select, and you can go into true, and you can relabel the Bluetooth name of your equipment if you want, make it a little easier. But I always run one base and one rover. I'll show you in here how you can change between those. Should be able to connect up here. We're probably about 60 foot away, but yep. So on here, we got all of our settings. Once again, this is Topcon digital to UHF, so this is 450 megahertz. Channels, we run all 12.5 spacing. We don't run any 25. Some of them have it in there, but I usually just load 12.5 tables. So really you need to make sure that you know what channel you're on. Typically I'll label this at the base, and I'd like to put a piece of masking tape in the dozers as well, just to make it easy where guys aren't having to connect and figure that out. Everyone just knows what it is. So this next one, protocol, is really important. PDL, you've got Trim Talk and Satel. We pretty much run all PDL. TX means we're going to transmit, so that means it's a base. You'll see when we connect to the rover, it's RX, which is receive. So if you wanted to take your rover and make it a base, really all you got to do is connect in and change your protocol from PDL RX to TX, and now you got another base. Same thing with base to rover. So that's really the only differentiator between the two. Modulation, we run 4FSK. We run with FEC and scrambling on. Power on these VRs, I try to kind of tailor these to the job. A lot of times I'll bump that down to half a watt there or something like that, quarter watt, just depending on the project. But we'll leave it on 1 watt, and then I leave FEC off. So once I hit set, it's going to save those to my radio settings. So then from there, I just hit next. We're going to go ahead and leave everything checked. Hit finish. It's going to ask me to connect to Bluetooth again on my base. Hit base, and it should say base started successfully or started okay or something. Base started okay. So now I've got my base started. So normally I'd walk over there and show you, but it's broadcasting. So now I can go ahead and connect to my rover. You can hit the red box, or you can go survey, connect, rover. Once again, it's right back here. Something that can be really handy to keep around. They should come in all your kits. I got it in my truck here, but these quick reference cards. There's one for a Hyper-V, but it tells you what all the lights on them mean. This is the one for the VR. So I have these in PDF form as well, but if you go check your base, so transmitter mode base, so if the light's green, it's not transmitting data, which is a little confusing, but if it's blinking red, then you're transmitting correction data. So easy way to check. So you can see here, we're on the same channel on the radio. I'll show you how to go ahead and get into that, but it went ahead and connected up. But once we set our base up, we don't want to get in and do that again, unless we're moving around the different jobs, but that's kind of a one-time thing. If we're coming back to this job every day, just leave it set up. So to go to my rover, now that I'm connected to it, I can come in here and go to radios. Same thing, R2 light UHF. All of our settings are the same there. Just gonna hit configure. Just gonna think about it a second. And then see how it didn't ask me to connect via Bluetooth because I'm already connected to my rover. Now I'm connected to my rover, not to my base. So you can see on here, I'm matching channels, 12.5 spacing. So you see here that protocol PDL RX, so that's receiving. So that's my rover. So just remember base broadcast, or transmits, and rover receives. Kind of easy to keep track of. Modulation, 4FSK, everything else matching. Power is grayed out because we're not transmitting, we're receiving. So we just hit set. And just hit OK. And so we reinitialize there. So yep, 13, 18 satellites, everything's looking good. So now you can see our crosshairs on here. We'll go out, check some control, make sure everything's looking good, and we go to work. So a lot of questions on guys changing channels around to work with other people or different job sites or whatever. So that's how you configure your settings for your base and your rover on your Pocket 3D data collector. Thanks.